Good morning. If everyone could take their seats, please. Call to order the October 16, 2018 regular meeting of the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners. At this time, it's my pleasure to call up the Reverend Holly Adams from Community Church of Vero Beach, who will provide the invocation this morning. That'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by myself, and we will begin with a moment of silent reflection for our first responders. Would everyone please rise?
Please pray with me. God of justice and mercy and of all creation, we are mindful this morning of your promise that where two or more are gathered, you are here in our midst. Lord, we welcome you among us today and celebrate the gift of life that we are each blessed with. It is with great humility that we acknowledge the awesome ministry to which you have called this council, to be stewards of a most beautiful corner of the world, with responsibility for the lives and livelihood of so many men and women and children who call this place home. We ask that you would open our ears so that we may hear not just your still small voice, but also the voices reflecting the true needs of our people, all our people. May you also open our minds that we may receive your eternal wisdom, enabling us to lead wisely amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. May you open our hearts so that we may receive your wonderful love, that we may work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. Help us to honor the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And may you open our spirits to all that binds us together as your beloved children. May you grant these leaders of our community peace and justice in their personal lives and joy in their stewardship. Finally, may they do everything with love and, in the words of the prophet Micah, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. Folks, it may be a little bit warm in here this morning, but Public Works has told me they do have the air conditioning turned up, and hopefully it'll start cooling down here shortly. Commissioners, additions, deletions to the agenda. Commissioner Flesher, I believe you'd like to move your item up
Most
to
certainly.
coincide with the public speaking items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We will move item 14D1 to coincide with item 10B1. And Commissioners, under the County Attorney's Matters, 13B is a appointment to the Economic Development Council.
13C.
No, 13B is Economic Development Council appointment.
13.
Okay. And the gentleman who's under consideration is here this morning, and so to make his time more profitable, I would like to move that item up to follow consent agenda so we can get to him fairly shortly. I'd like to add a brief update on the red tide situation, and James Gray will be here to give that. And I'd like to do that prior to the presentations. And then finally, County Attorney's Matters 13C, the real estate exchange item. Mr. DeBrawl has a deposition to take, and if we could just make sure we get that done before, I believe, at noon? Yes. Okay. So everybody good with the changes?
Move approval as amended. Second.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Flesher, second by Commissioner Slaughter, to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. With that, we will go to James Gray, our short-time coastal engineer. Good morning, James. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. And again, for the record, James Gray, County Natural Resources Manager. I have with me Assistant County Administrator Mike Zito. So an update on red tide. So we have been seeing the initial effects of respiratory concerns regarding red tide, as well as some fish kills washing ashore. I just wanted to also add that the county has been prepared for this. We've had meetings for the past 2 weeks on this issue. We had a plan in place, and we enacted that yesterday when we first started seeing these signs. So we've been responding to that very quickly. We've been updating our website as well with facts as far as this potential outbreak. Again, potential, because we're still receiving sampling. We're working with the Department of Health at this current moment. They've grabbed several samples yesterday. We should have test results back tomorrow from what we're hearing. And there's going to be some additional frequent sampling throughout the duration of this potential concern that we're dealing with. A little bit on the respiratory concerns and such. It affects people differently. And I just wanted to mention, I am very susceptible to, personally susceptible to red tide effects. So getting out of the vehicle, it may affect you, it hit you first. It does that me. So I'm a good barometer for that. You go on the beach, people were sitting on the beach yesterday. It did not affect them. However, while walking to the shoreline and such, you would hear people coughing. So it really does affect people differently. So as a precaution, while we're dealing with these effects and so forth, it might be good to, if you do have respiratory concerns and such, to maybe avoid the areas where there might be some of these concerns. But again, for the most part, we're continuing to meet. Jason's staff and our directors and rest of the county staff are meeting. I'm going to pass it over to Mike now for an update on the cleanup efforts as of such.
Thank you, James. We have seen some increases in sporadic fish kills. This morning, as of 7:30 at Treasure Shores, we estimate over at least 100 fish. So testing is a little behind the curve in this endeavor. We will confirm the existence of red tide, but we're treating it as though we have a confirmation. So we're organizing the cleanup effort as we speak. Okay. And it may take a combination of departments to assist in that effort. And if it becomes something that the county will incur costs, then we'll seek some remedies from some resources.
Okay. So, Mike, currently the beach parks are open, and folks should go to ircgov.com for any updates. And I assume if we get confirmation, will we then close the beach parks? Or is that still to be
I
determined?
think that's a matter of degree and severity. You know, in the recent outbreak in Martin County, they did not close the beaches, but Palm Beach did. So we'll have to assess that going forward.
And are we coordinating with the city of Vero Beach and what they're doing on their beach parks?
Yes, indeed, and we are on par with the city. And that
Okay, good.
they are open.
And then I assume we're just going to use James as our canary in the coal mine and stick him down there on the beach.
We're also working on some signage to inform the public so they know what they're walking into. But yeah, James, as soon as James feels better, we'll take the signs down. Yeah.
So folks, just again, go to ircgov.com for updates. We'll keep that constantly updated as this situation unfolds and we get the testing results back. So, Commissioners, any questions or staff on this? James, Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think Nate McCollum's tie was a little easier than sending James in.
Proclamations and presentations. The first one is a presentation of a proclamation honoring Rose Martorana on her 100th birthday. And Commissioner Solari is to present this. Is Rose here? Oh, she is. Rose, would you like to just come up to the podium here, please?
And if you have any relatives, please bring them on up.
We'll have Commissioner Slaughter read the proclamation, and if Rose would like to make any comments, that would be great. Okay, Commissioner Slaughter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm very happy this morning to read this proclamation honoring Rose Motorana on her 100th birthday. Whereas Rose Motorana will be honored by friends and relatives on her 100th birthday on October 12th. And whereas Rose Motorana was born in Manhattan, New York on October 12th, 1918. She has been a resident of this community seasonally since 1980 and currently lives full-time in Indian River County, where she is an active member of Holy Cross Church. And whereas Rose Motorana became the wife of Dominic in 1941, and this marriage was blessed with 3 children and 5 grandchildren. And whereas Rose Motorana has lived during the most eventful century of American history, and her outgoing personality and caring nature has been an inspiration to those around her during these many years. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners, Indian River County, Florida, that the board applauds Rose Motorana on reaching her 100th birthday with sincere congratulations and best wishes for many more happy, productive years. Adopted the 16th day of October 2018 and signed by all 5 members of the Board of County Commissioners. Congratulations, Ms. Motorana. Very happy to have you here. Have you anything that you'd like to advise us on?
Anything like Rose would like to say?
I can't say enough about Vero Beach. We toured all Florida many years ago, and when we reached Vero Beach, we said, this is heaven. This is where we stay. And we haven't changed our mind. It's just a beautiful place, and the people are wonderful.
Very good. You know, I thought I heard her say that her longevity is due to drinking cold beer and cigars. Is that correct? Or well, Rose, thank you very much for being here. Congratulations on your 100th somebody want to come up and we'll take pictures and get the proclamation? Okay, come on up. Scott will take the picture here.
Scott, if you give Scott your phone, he'll take a picture.
Yeah.
Congratulations and
Rose.
a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Birthday, Rose. Happy birthday, Rose.
All right.
Great. Thanks, guys, for being here today. Having Heather and I over.
Thank you.
Great to see you again, Rose.
Next is a presentation of a proclamation designating the month of October 2018 as Indian River County Family History Month. This will be presented by Commissioner Zork, and Marilyn Case is here, I believe, and is Deborah here? Oh, Deborah, I'm sorry. Deborah Garber from the Indian River Genealogy Society are here to receive that. Commissioner Zork.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. This is a proclamation designating the month of October 2018 as Indian River County Family History Month. Whereas the Indian River Genealogical Society is celebrating its 35th anniversary as an organization that furthers genealogical research, and it promotes interest in family and local history by providing educational programs including lectures, workshops, seminars, and individual assistance to help genealogists and family historians of all skill levels researching their own family. And whereas the Indian River Genealogical Society has created and maintains an online database available to the public to digitize Indian River County cemetery records. And whereas Indian River Genealogical Society has encouraged the recognition of veterans buried in Indian River County by providing grave row markers to the Gifford Cemetery Association and help preserve the legacy of local veterans by researching, organizing, documenting, and articulating the story of the men honored on Veterans Memorial Island Sanctuary. And whereas the Indian River Genealogical Society has consistently assisted and supported the Julian W. Lowenstein Archive Center and Genealogical Library at the Indian River County Main Library with volunteer assistance, books, and equipment. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the board designates the month of October 2018 as Indian River County Family History Month and hereby congratulates the Indian River County Genealogical Society on its work and successes in Indian River County for 35 years. Signed by all 5 county commissioners. And boy, saying that word a number of times in a row was great.
Well, Commissioner, that's why we have you read the streetlight districts, kind of get you geared up for that.
Thank you.
Well, Commissioners, as president of the Indian River Genealogical Society, and I've gotten a lot of practice saying that, I'd like to thank you for this proclamation. Our mission as a genealogy society is to promote interest in family and local history. So by offering lectures and workshops and study groups and seminars, we educate the public on how to research and preserve one's own family legacy. And we're proud to support the work of our local county library in that effort. Interest in genealogy and family history is growing, I think driven in large part by technological change. The availability of databases and books, maps, records, and other information online makes access to that information about one's family easier. So people now can research from the comfort of their own home or their local library, even when their ancestors lived hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. The field of genealogy is becoming increasingly professional, with codified standards of research becoming adopted and professional organizations at the local, state, and national levels providing leadership. As a local society, we are entirely volunteer-based, and so we rely on the time and talent of our members to deliver quality programs to the community, and we're committed to the value of preserving and sharing family history. So we're very grateful for the county's recognition of our work. Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything you all did. It's fascinating because I know you all have presented to us before, and it's just really tremendous how far back you all can take it. So,
And Commissioner, if you want some help researching, we'll help you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
come on up.
Third anniversary sale with up to 73% off store-wide. Don't miss exclusive designer collections.
We got a little advertisement.
Your dining table for only $5.97.
Yeah, can everybody silence their cell phones, please?
It's not my.
No, it was the
Commercial.
the commercial on TV.
Here we go, two-handed again. Beauty.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you. Next, we have a presentation of a proclamation designating October 26, 2018 as the day of ceremony and celebration for the city of Vero Beach. We have Council Member Tony Young here, City Clerk Tammy Bursek, and I believe a special guest, Miss Centennial, Anna Valencia Tillery. Good morning and welcome. And Commissioner Flesher will be presenting this proclamation. Commissioner Flesher.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to present this proclamation, and it's nice to know that Rose is in good company with a city that's 100 years old as well. So, thank you. And a lot of great things are happening in the city of Vero Beach throughout the year, and we heard the presentation, but we can't hear enough because there's a lot of great things happening because of this team. I'll proceed with the proclamation designating October 26, 2018 as the day of ceremony and celebration for the city of Vero Beach. Whereas the city of Vero Beach is celebrating its 100th birthday in 2019, And whereas the city of Vero Beach, formerly called the city of Vero, was incorporated on June the 10th, 1919. And whereas the city intends to celebrate all year long, beginning in October 2018, an opening celebration will be on October 26, 2018, with the Centennial Celebratory Crescendo. Thought you had a tough one.
Crescendo.
Everyone is invited to attend this milestone triumph. Businesses, civic organizations, schools, faith groups, pioneer families, residents and guests, young and old, are invited. And whereas a dozen months are needed to capture the flavor of Vero Beach's proud history, featuring its many local landmarks and stakeholders, and monthly events will be offered in a myriad of ways to capture the fire and energy that was forged a lasting legacy of 10 decades. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Indian River County, Florida, that the day of October 26, 2018 be designated as the day of ceremony and celebration for the 100th birthday of the city of Vero Beach in Indian River County, and the board encourages all citizens to support and participate in the celebrations to be held. Duly adopted this 16th day of October 2018, signed by all 5 of your county commissioners. Colonel.
I'd like to say thank you to every one of y'all for joining the county seats celebration of 100 years. It's an awesome occasion, and I just want to again highlight the stature that I'm supported by, because it's not me at all. It's the folks like Joan Edwards, who's doing the trolley tour that will begin in January, that will take people around our community, from the community center to the airfield to the Driftwood Hotel. And of course, I would be remiss without introducing Miss Centennial Anna. And Anna has truly brought sparkle to our festivities, and you can't have a celebration without a princess. And Anna is Miss Centennial and has done a phenomenal job with that. And then lastly, of course, the brains behind the network, Miss Tammy Bursick, our city clerk. So. And not any of you who know me realizes that I absolutely love history and our heritage and our community and what we're about. And I just want to take 1 second or a few seconds to highlight a passage from a family that is a pioneer family here in Indian River County and Vero Beach, and that's the Helseth family. And Susan Helseth Roberson passed away tragically about 2 weeks ago in an accident. And before she did that, I spoke with her, and she gave me a copy of a family account, and she wanted to be very much a part of our centennial celebration. And the gift that this provides the community is unmistakable, because many of us didn't have the good fortune of knowing the wherewithal or the basis that we came from. And so as a way of kind of shedding a little bit of light of that, I want to read a passage from this account from the Helseth family. As is usually the case, there was the good and the bad in the new land. The worst, and speaking about Vero Beach in our area, was the insects. Screens would keep the mosquitoes out of the house, but it took cheesecloth to deal with the sandflies. Smudge pots and mosquito switches were in common usage, and Susan can relate with that. There was relief from the mosquitoes during the winter months. The good part was the abundance of fish, oysters, and clams in the Indian River. Game was plentiful. Deer, possum, quail, and alligators were there for the taking. Everyone worked at land clearing, And remember, this is at the very beginning of our community. Manpower, mules, and dynamite were put to good use. The first crop was beans, and later, after more land was cleared, it was planted in pineapple. Uncle Jens told me when he first arrived, there was an inlet to the ocean where the St. Lucie and Indian River County line is today. And at high tide, a small boat could make it in and out. Ole and Anada soon realized they were not alone. At night, campfires of the Seminoles could be seen from the vantage point where they lived. One day, Aunt Ananda was alone in her house without any sort of announcement. 7 Indians arrived at her door and walked right into the house. They formed a ring around her, felt her clothes, felt of her arms. This was enough to scare the daylights out of for the faint of heart. She, however, was equal to the situation. Realizing they meant no harm, they were just curious, held out her arm to a young Indian woman who held a baby. The young woman let her take the baby, which she put in a basin of water and gave it a bath. The child was dirty. She then put some clean clothes on it. Their curiosity satisfied, they filed out of the door. The following day, the clothes were discovered on a tree, neatly folded. So how amazing is that to know that in our community in years past, what it was like. And it was captured because a family cared about our heritage and cared about family. So this is going to be some of the wonderful discoveries we'll make over the coming year, and I wanted to share that with you and say thank you. I know we've spent a lot of time and energy into that, and I appreciate your allowing me to do that. So thanks.
Thank you. Tony, I know you got a big event coming up on the 27th. You want to tell us about that? Well, actually, maybe we should have Miss Centennial tell us. You get out of the way. We want somebody young looking there.
Very good.
Very good indeed. Well, if you are interested in participating in a flag raising ceremonial as well as a time capsule where we are still in fact welcoming items such as the reading that Tony Young was just able to give to us, Councilman. It is such an honor to know that not only we're going to know where the time capsule is in 50 years, sure now when we go to dig it back up, though it's going to also be at the Driftwood, something that's historical and true right here to our community. So it's going to be a big day starting at 9 a.m. out at the Driftwood Resort. And we will end that afternoon with a giant chili cook-off thanks to the Sunrise Rotarians and a number of volunteers, tasting some delicious chili in Riverside Park. So the 27th will be equally as big as our kickoff on the 26th.
Very good. And then is there place on your website where people can follow the Centennial as it goes through the months?
Excellent. VeroBeach100.org. Please visit, as the calendar will continuously be updated and letting folks know, weather permitting, if various events will be taking place.
So VeroBeach100.org.
Correct? Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
And could we hear a little bit about this trolley?
3-hour tour.
All excited about?
Oh, yes.
Come on, Joan.
Yes, I'll be running a trolley tour from the Indian River Chamber of Commerce, 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings, the first Saturday of the month. January, February, March, not April, May, June, July, August, and September. So once a month, I can take 20 people. January's already full, and you have to call Tammy's office to get a reservation. And I have friends from the villages that want to come down and bring a crew to go on one of them. So they did say guests, so it's okay. Anyway, some of these are personal stories and some of our research. I read a 1,000-page book on Piper. I'm not going to tell all of Piper history on this tour because we are moving and 3 hours is a lot. We will stop at Waldo's and see the recreation of Waldo's Mountain where the time capsule comes in.
So we're looking forward to a 3-hour tour, price friendly.
Free.
Free. That's right.
Compliments of Piper Aircraft.
That is so nice that they sponsored that, and I don't know if you can, if it's too late, but, you know, Rose is 100 years old, and the Matarana family, it's Joe and Dominic have had a lot to do with the, as they relocated here to Indian River County, and I was wondering if we can get Rose on this journey too.
We are actually working with Rose. We're having some of our videographers and our photographers come out and talk to Rose and find out about her legacy. So you'll be hearing more about that. And I just want to thank you for the proclamation this morning, and just encourage you to go on the website and look and see what is happening every weekend for the next year. Thank you.
Never have enough. You know what? And we can make sure that. Look at this.
Good job.
Behind the legend. Thank you. Ah,
Smart man. Coming down this morning. Thank you, Tammy.
Oh, maybe one more reach. There we go.
All right. Thank y'all. All right.
Thank you.
Next will be a presentation by Brian Bauer, the President, CEO of Career Source Research Coast. Good morning. Welcome, Brian.
Good morning, Commissioner. Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak with you all this morning. Give a little bit, thank you. Give you a little bit of background about Career Source. We're part of the Career Source Florida Network, which is made up of 24 boards throughout the state of Florida. Our local workforce board covers Indian River, St. Lucie, and Martin County. We have a Treasure Coast Workforce Consortium made up of a commissioner from each one of our counties. Our current commissioner for Indian River County is Commissioner Tim Zork. Thank you for attending that. Responsibility of the consortium is to approve our budget as well as the membership of our board of directors. Our current board of directors are made up of volunteers, 23 members. 51% of those members are private sector business. Other members are mandated through law that we fall under. Our board of directors, I have Helene Castleton here today as a representative from not just only the Economic Development Council, but of the board of directors for Career Source Research Coast. So thank you, Helene. We fall under federal funding. Our federal funding comes in three streams that is approved by the consortium. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or otherwise called WIOA. You'll hear me throw acronyms out, so if you hear them, tell me to slow down and I'll try to do my best to spell them out for you. The other one is the TANF, which is Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, or the SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And finally, our Wagner-Pizer program, which is our core program for our resource centers in all three of our counties. We have 4 centers in our local workforce area. We have one here in Indian River County on 82nd Avenue. We have 2 in St. Lucie County, one in Garden City, Fort Pierce, one in St. Lucie West, and then we have 1 center in Martin County. Our federal funding, the training for our federal funding, as I get into our presentation here shortly, our goals is 1 mission, 1 vision, 1 team. Let me push that back a little bit, apologize. At direction of our board of directors, this is what we strive to each and every one of our day. Our teams strive to be the catalyst empowering our communities towards economic success. As part of the workforce system, one of the tasks or jobs that we are integrated with is economic development. We know that economic development brings business, maintains business here in our communities. But what is the product for economic development? It's not just a business, not just land. It's our talent pipeline. And that's where we come into play, is help develop that talent pipeline so that we keep our businesses or we attract new businesses to our area. Our mission is to provide opportunities and improve lives. And some of the numbers that I'll show you here shortly are some of the examples of how we've done that, where we've provided opportunities to improve the lives of our communities, our employers, and our citizens in our communities. Our success in numbers for the last program year, our program year is July through June. So you're looking at 17 through 18, so it's July 1, 17 through 6/30 of 18. You'll see that one of our funding streams, which I talked about earlier, is the WIOA, or Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. We are required to spend 50% of our funding in training. Training can mean customized training, a classroom training where we send an individual to college, to state college or a technical training center, or the other one that we collaborate with our businesses is called on-the-job training, or OJT. On 17-18, grants awarded by our industry sectors, which are 3 sectors of focus are healthcare, manufacturing, or advanced manufacturing, and skilled trades. In those sectors, we spent 67% or almost $150,000 in healthcare. One of the main providers in Indian River County is we've worked very closely with Indian River Medical Center, providing OJT opportunities for their transition of RNs to more of a specialized path. Now we work very closely with them on helping them get those individuals to that next level of specialized care. The second component is 16% or almost $36,000 was rewarded to local manufacturers in the 3 counties. Business engagement. As you can see, we've had over 3,000 job postings in the last program year. You're looking at the June unemployment numbers. Unfortunately, that was when I had to submit the report, but I do have the September numbers for Florida. In September, Florida was 4.0, Indian River County was 4.9, St. Lucie County was 4.7, and Martin County was 3.9. So numbers fluctuate a little bit. You're basically looking at anything under 5% is full employment. So we're looking at here in those that are not working, or those that have barriers to employment, the most significant barriers to employment for us to get back into the workforce. We served over 1,000 businesses in the program here. We registered 242 new employers in our system. We sent out 819 surveys on our customer satisfaction performance measures. And our engagement on our customer satisfaction was 9.3 out of 10, and our target was 8. Hiring events. As you can see, we held over 58 hiring events in the course of the program year through all 3 counties. In Indian River County we held 15 events, or that was 26% of the 58 events that we had. And I'll mention a few events here later on in the presentation that we're very excited about that are coming here shortly. So you'll see some of the employers that we had here. That's not, for whatever reason, that's not sliding down. I apologize. But of these 58 hiring events, they resulted in 250 plus hires. So that's a very good number as far as we're putting individuals back into the workplace. Wagner Pizer, I mentioned earlier, that's our core program. That's where we can provide assistance to job seekers or career seekers in the form of resume assistance, interview workshops, any kind of training workshops that are available to get them back into the workplace quickly. So we served over 16,000 individuals in the program year. Of those 16,000 individuals, we provided 127,000 services to those individuals, and over 4,000 individuals were placed in employment. Now, employment can be either directly helped by us, or they found a job on their own, or anything like that, but that's 4,000. So that's a pretty good number as far as for the local workforce area. Breaking that into even further, one of our targets or one of our focuses is our veterans, of course. We served 938 veterans over the program year. We placed 320 into jobs. We provided over 10,000, almost 11,000 services to those veterans, and 30 were placed in training. Again, I mentioned the WIOA, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, Adult and Dislocated Worker, are 2 of the 3 programs that fall under WIOA. The third is youth. I'll speak to that soon. Adults are individuals that are over 18 that are needing of assistance. Dislocated worker is an individual who lost their job as a result of their business leaving or closing down or leaving the area for one reason or another. So they lost their job as a no fault of their own. That fall under dislocated category. So of that, we placed 172 individuals in training, a classroom or OJT, in program year 17-18. We had 174 participants entered employment after completing training. The number is a little different because we have a rollover from program year to program year, so you're going to see a little bit different number there. The adult entered employment average wage is $19.35 or $40,248 in an annual salary. Not bad for our area, not bad at all. Dislocated worker enter employment average wage is $16.26 per hour or $33,820 annual salary. A little bit more difficult with that one. We strive our best to work with our dislocated workers. I also have here in 2017 average annual wage salary for all 3 counties, a breakdown. As you can see, the annual average wage for Indian River County is the highest at $41,571. And that's coming from the Department of Economic Opportunities Bureau of Market Statistics. Breaking down even further the training components that I talked about, you have the ITA, which is the classroom training component. 36.5% of that money went, or $178,000, went into training individuals. Customized training would be a training that either an employer comes to us and says, I really want to upskill my workforce. How can you help? We can do an incumbent worker training or employed worker training program. We spent $5,000 there, $5,600 in those programs. Job readiness is also called work experience or internships. That's where there's no guaranteed job at that time, but they're gaining work experience during their time with the employer, with the hope that the employer would hire them at the end. If not, they've gained some experience so that we can put them back in the workforce. Almost $80,000 spent there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, on-the-job training, which is an employer has already hired the individual, and we are helping with paying for the training costs of that individual for a certain period of time. Maximum usually is about 480 hours. We will subsidize up to 50% of the training costs for that employer. So our annual ITA percentage was 31.09%, or we spent almost $500,000 in training over the course of the program year. Now I mentioned youth. Youth is a third component of WIOA. Youth is a little bit different animal, and so to speak, that we have. We're dealing with those that are out of school. Mostly the law shifted to where we focused our efforts on out-of-school youth versus in-school youth. So we are required to spend 75% of our WIOA youth dollars on out-of-school youth. We have a service provider, Ecid Youth Alternatives, that provides our youth services for us. They are in all three of our counties. They have a facility in all 3 of our counties. We have a contract with them. Their contract, as you can see, their goals and their year-to-date averages, and I'll go through each one of these in a little bit. Work experience, as I mentioned earlier, is where they're actually putting a youth into work experience for a period of 8 to 10 weeks. They're getting paid an average of $9 an hour, I believe, when they're in their work experience. So their goal was 72. They actually achieved 76. Their completions, their goal was 61, and they completed 70. New enrollments were 85 was their goal, and they actually enrolled 107 new youth out of school. 105 of those were out of school, of course, and 2 were in school. Carry forward youth, again, we roll program years, so you're going to see youth come into 17-18 from our 16-17 program year. That's why you see the skew in the numbers. So we had carry forward of youth of 212. Out of school were 184. In school were 28. Of those exited with a positive outcome, which, as we all know, when you have federal dollars, you're held to performance measures, and those performance measures, one of those are for youth, is exited positive outcome. Goal was 112, and they received 129. So in total served in the last 2 years was 319 youth. And our work experience expenditures were a little over $250,000 that we spent for those youth to gain that work experience. Tying even further into youth, we a few years back, we started a Summer of Success Summit and a Summer of Success program in St. Lucie County. With the hope when I finish this, I'll have my ask here for the commission. But this year we were not funded, so we did a summit instead of the actual Summer of Success program. So we hosted the summit at Kaiser University. We received a small grant from Wells Fargo Bank, and we also hosted a golf tournament sponsored by the Treasure Coast Roofers and Sheet Metals Workers Association to raise funds for this event. We actually raised $5,000 from that golf tournament for the Summer of Success program. The summit this year, we had 74 youth registered online. They complete an actual application process, so they actually interview to go into the summit. So they're gaining that experience on what it's like to go into a job interview, to get in front of adults, to speak to individuals, look face to face, learning those soft skills, those skills that we all know that we're lacking here in our community. So 51 youth attended that summit. 29 local employers participated in a paper chase, which was the last day. The youth were able to go out to employers in in the communities and visit their place of employment, see what they're about, what their work is like, what they do. It was very exciting, and they all had a very good time. And all youth that attended the workshop and applied, participated with 3 employers. They all received a $50 gift card. We know that it helps to incentivize the youth to make sure they complete the program. So that was one of the little catches that they got with regards to completing that program. Now I'll go into sector strategy implementation. One of the things that's changed with Career Source Florida recently is a sector strategy approach. We know that we need to focus our efforts in our sectors of importance, or our sectors of focus within our local area. So in our particular area, our board and our efforts were, our economic development partners and our efforts were focused on these 3 areas: healthcare, manufacturing, and skilled trades. And what we did was we created a workforce readiness task force back to about 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago. You can see some of the logos of the partners that were on that first charter page that signed the actual charter as participants of this workforce readiness task force. You can see it's not just one county, it's all 3 counties. It's a local workforce area effort. And that's how we're going to get to where we need to be. We need to work together, economic development, education, workforce, and private business all together at the same table. From there, what we had was a Future Healthcare Professionals Boot Camp, or Expo. We had 162 Martin and St. Lucie County High School students attend the first Future Florida Healthcare Professionals Expo. Unfortunately, we had some circumstances where Indian River was not able to bring the youth down at that time, so that's why you don't see Indian River youth on this page. But I'll get to something about that soon too as well. So we're excited about what's coming up there. This event had over 250 youth that were interested in the healthcare industry. They had the opportunity to go through some soft skills education workshops. They had the opportunity to sit and meet with employers in the areas about healthcare. Martin Health Systems, Indian River Medical Center were there. So they're getting the opportunity to say what's out there and what's available to us for work as we get ready to enter our future education or post-secondary education. We also, in partnership with Indian River State College, are in the Youth Build program. This is a federal grant where it focuses on youth, out-of-school youth. They received a grant. When I say they, the college received a grant to have 50 youth go through this Youth Build program. And this is geared towards the skilled trades. In partnership with Habitat for Humanity, ourselves, and the Treasure Coast Builders Association, they broke the youth down into 2 cohorts. The first cohort has just completed, well, they completed back in April, graduated in June. They're learning those skills. They're actually getting a certification in the skilled trades that will allow them to now go out and have a job. And actually, you'll see that of these 18, 5 were hired by employers in the community already. They worked with Habitat for Humanity to build a tiny house. That tiny house is now being auctioned off for sale. So that is a pretty awesome site there. And then finally, we went out and received 3 community sector-based grants on top of our federal funding, with focusing on sector approaches. 1.2 million in grant funding altogether for these 4 grants. Actually 3 grants, I apologize. The first grant was a healthcare grant, and it focused on nurses, RNs. We know that we have a shortage of RNs in all 3 of our counties. So we collaborated with State College, and we were able to put 20 nurses into the RN program, as well as 20 from our WIOA side of our participants. So by June of this year, or next year, 2019, we'll have 40 certified RNs in the program ready to go out into the field that are ready for work. So very excited about having that accomplishment completed. The one that we focused on this year, that we're kind of pioneering the way here for the state, a big push is going towards apprenticeship for the state. We put in for a grant for apprenticeship. We actually submitted for a registered apprenticeship. We had that registered apprenticeship approved by the state of Florida Department of Education. And we are running that apprenticeship now with our Treasure Coast Manufacturing Association. The Treasure Coast Manufacturing Association is the sponsor of this apprenticeship, and they are also the ones that provide the training, and they take their hired employees and put them into the apprenticeship track. Along with that, we tied into a feeder program, or a pre-apprenticeship program, to where you have individuals that aren't actually working yet or might not be ready to be working yet, but yet we can start building that pipeline by getting them that basic certification or certified production technician to allow them to have something that then an employer would say, yeah, I'm going to take that person, I'll hire him, and then put him into the apprenticeship track. So what we're trying to do is build that pipeline. We're starting to build that manufacturing pipeline for our Treasure Coast Manufacturing Association and in the manufacturers in all 3 of our counties. I talked about the nurses there. And the apprenticeship, the actual registered apprenticeship is the Industrial Manufacturing Technician Apprenticeship. It is a registered certified apprenticeship, so once you receive this apprenticeship, you can take this wherever you want. We want them to stay here, of course, but it is a nationally recognized apprenticeship. Along with that, they do get the Certified Production Technician certification from MSSC, which is also a baseline manufacturing certification requirement for our employers in our area. And that's pretty much about it. I do have a few comments, or I do have a few things that I did give you all some flyers. I would like to extend an invitation to each of you to consider attending our upcoming State of the Jobs Conference. It's on Thursday, October 25th at the Fenn Center in St. Lucie County. We have 600 youth coming to this event from 8 to 1 p.m. to, again, start talking about, informing them about opportunities that are available to them outside of a four-year college. College is not for everybody at this time. We know college might be later on, but we need to start building that pipeline of talent. And those individuals that are in the CTE programs in our school districts, they're not quite sure what they want to do yet. Here's a way we can inform them. We will have over 29 employers here at this event to talk about their sector. The event will be broken down into sectors: healthcare, skilled trades, and manufacturing. So once everything is done, they break down into their section of focus. So looking forward to that event. You all are welcome to attend. Please, if you are interested, please contact my executive assistant, Jennifer DeBay. She'll be glad to make sure you guys get to the event.
What's the time on that?
8 to 1 on the 25th, Thursday, October 25th. Next, we are hosting our second annual Gifford Job Fair. That will be on Thursday, November 1st. And if your schedule permits, we would love to have you show up and stop by and say hello to everybody. That event is at the Gifford Youth Activities Center, the Youth Achievement Center, I'm sorry. And that, again, is Thursday, November 1st, and that event starts, I believe, at 8 a.m. as well. Yeah, no, 9 a.m., I'm sorry. Dignitaries will start at 9 a.m., 9 to 1. And finally, we have Career Source Florida every year has a Paychecks for Patriots event. We want to make sure that we focus on our veterans. So we have a dedicated hiring event throughout the state for our veterans. Our Paychecks for Patriots will be held Wednesday, November 9th. The event will be held in all of our centers. So for Indian River County, we'll be in our Indian River County Career Center, and that's from 9 to 11 a.m. So if you're interested in that, or if you'd like to attend that or stop by, please do. And that's, again, at our Career Center in Indian River County. I also would like to give a special thank you to the Indian River County School District. Last month, they voted to approve a facility use agreement for us to locate our Eckerd Youth Program at the new Treasure Coast Technical College. So we're beginning our move-in process this month, where we'll be able to now work with our out-of-school youth at that campus, and it's going to be a very nice synergy, we believe, as we can start tying in the technical college and the adults and those youth that we serve in our community all in one place. So I did forget to mention our youth are 16 to 24. So that's the age range of our youth for WIOA. So any other questions? Again, I thank you all for your time.
Brian, thank you for the presentation, and it sounds like you guys are busy with a lot of different programs going, and we greatly appreciate your efforts to build that workforce and the pipeline for future jobs. So thank you for a job well done.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And it's a collaborative effort. If it's everybody here. It's our educational institutions, it's our economic development partners, it's us, and of course it's you all as well, because you're the driving engine to make sure that we can do what we do. So thank you to each and every one.
Thank you, Brian. Commissioner, any other questions of Brian? Okay, Brian, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, so now we'll move on to the minutes. We have a regular meeting of August 14, the special call meeting of September 4th, the preliminary budget hearing of September 12th, and the final budget hearing of September 19th.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Adams, second from Commissioner Zork to approve all 4 minutes. All in favor signify with aye. Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Informational items, Commissioners, anything to expand on? I will make note that we do have a vacancy on our Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, so if anyone is interested in serving in that, you'll find that information on our website. Takes us to the consent agenda. Commissioners, does anybody wish to pull an item on consent for additional discussion? Commissioner Zork.
I'll let you go first.
Commissioner Fleischer.
8I.
We have a request for 8I. Anyone else? Is there anyone from the audience that wishes to have a consent agenda item pulled for additional discussion? Seeing none, Commissioners? We have a motion from Commissioner Adams, second by Commissioner Zork. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries 5-0. Commissioner Zork, item I, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be moving in favor of support of this item, but this will be an additional enhancements to the Victor Hart Senior Sports Complex in the Gifford area. I'd just like to ask staff that there is the one other league that's finishing up some regional playoff activities relating to football, and I think where we're at, I think they go to roughly first week of November. I don't think the contractor's going to put a shovel in the ground that quick, but if we can just try to coordinate around that.
Rich Berger, Public Works Director. We're aware of it. We've adjusted the schedule so that they can finish what they need before we take the field apart and rebuild it.
Okay, wonderful. Great news. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will move for approval.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Zork, second by Commissioner Fleischer. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries 5-0. That concludes the consent agenda. Commissioners, we had moved up the county attorney's item 13B, which is the economic development appointment. Mr. Reingold, would you like to kick this off, please?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. On May 8th, 2018, the board adopted a resolution changing the vacant position of the local citrus industry representative on the EDC to the local agricultural industry representative. Since then, we have actually received an application from a qualified candidate. This is Gerald Rennick. The county attorney recommends that the board review the application and decide whether to appoint the applicant to fill the vacant position. If the board decides to fill the position, I recommend that the board appoint the applicant to fill the position for the remainder of this term, which ends in January, and then also to reappoint the applicant for another term. And with that, I turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions of Dylan? Mr. Rennick, would you like to come up and say a word on your behalf, please? Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Jerry Rennick. I go by Jerry rather than Gerald. I am owner and operator along with my wife Tamra of Ecotone Farm, and we've been in operation in the Fellsmere areas where we reside for under Ecotone Farm, our current farming activities for 5.5 years, and we're full-time residents obviously of the city of Fellsmere, and we've been agricultural business operators from our same facility for about 10 years, and I've been involved in the agricultural industry, for many years, and I've got a master's degree in environmental horticulture from the University of Florida, and I'm actually looking forward to the opportunity to get more involved with economic development in the county for the agricultural industry, which I think has a pretty strong need of emphasis on development and growth, especially with anywhere from the problems we've had obviously over the years of the citrus industry, which seems to be having a pretty good year so far from some of the numbers that I've read. But the agriculture is the heart of who we are in this community, especially in the city of Fellsmere, again, where we operate and live. And I think there's a really positive opportunity for growth, again, in agriculture, which, especially in the area that we're involved, which is, production of food, produce primarily, that, having local, safe, healthy food is primary to the health and happiness of our community.
Very good, thank you. And Commissioners, just to remind you that this used to be a citrus appointment on the Economic Development Council, and a while back, I don't know, 6 months ago, we voted to change it to an agricultural appointee, kind of broaden the scope a little bit, and that's why Mr. Rennick is a qualified applicant for this position. So Commissioners, your pleasure.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Move approval for appointment.
We have a motion from Commissioner Fletcher, second by Commissioner Adams. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Seeing none, all in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Mr. Rennick, thank you very much. We look forward to your service on our committee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here this morning.
Good crowd.
There's no constitutional officers items. That moves us to public items. The first is a public hearing, and this is the second hearing for adoption of a land development regulation amendment to chapters 911 and 971 regarding the review and approval process for places of worship. This is legislative in nature, and at this time I'll welcome our Community Development Director, Mr. Stan Bowling. Good morning, Stan.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. So yeah, this is the second and final hearing of a land development regulation amendment. It mostly deals with the process for places of worship. Conceptually, the board looked at this idea that was presented by the county attorney back in 2016 for case law reasons to make the process more objective and less subjective. And so the proposed ordinance takes the place of worship development application out of a special exception public hearing process. It keeps it a conditional use as an administrative permit with criteria and makes it more objective. You all took a look at the ordinance with first hearing on September 18th. You had no changes that you recommended on the ordinance. And so the ordinance being presented for the final hearing this morning remains the same as previously proposed. And just to hit on a few of the highlights, it again changes the classification, the use classification, and the approval process from special exception to administrative permit for all zoning districts. So all districts are treating places of worship the same now, and criteria for location and access have been changed to objective criteria, and these, I think, will be a good response to federal case law, which was what prompted the changes that are proposed. In terms of the criteria change, the number of trips are one of the criteria that are proposed, as well as the site's frontage, what type of roadway and access that a place of worship facility, a new one, can use, and all those factors that are in the code that's proposed really just follow the practices that we've actually had over the last few decades in the size church and where it can be located. So the ordinance, again, is supported by the county attorney, by staff, and the Planning and Zoning Commission. I do want to point out that on page 13 of the ordinance, there's a typographical error in one of the words, so we'll make a replacement sheet before it would be signed if you all approve it. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you, Stan. Commissioners, any questions of staff? Commissioner Zork.
Yes, I have one. Stan, for any churches that are currently in the pre-app conference type discussion, I know there's one on 27th Avenue area, would they be able to kind of shift gears after this passes? And I don't know if it changes anything with their application, but
It does, actually.
Okay.
It will. It'll make it less expensive and it'll be quicker. So
Okay.
it would apply,
Great,
apply
thank
to that pre-applicant.
right, okay.
It'd be a positive impact to the.
I would think so, yes. Mhm.
Any other questions of staff? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to speak on the public hearing at this time? Seeing none and having provided ample time for everyone to speak, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Fleischer.
Move staff recommendation and adoption.
Second?
Thank you. And I assume that motion includes the change in page 13 or whatever, yep.
Well,
okay.
certainly it's a clear typographical error.
We have a motion by Commissioner Flesher, second by Commissioner Zork. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Coming up next is the public discussion items. We have two speakers. It kind of looks like one speaker is to promote the ban on sales of puppies and cats, and the second speaker is to not ban the sale of pets and cats. And we have also moved up Commissioner Flesher's item 14D1 to be part of this. Looking at the size of the crowd, and I'm estimating this might be a little bit of a lengthy discussion, we're going to go ahead and take a brief 10-minute break right now, and we'll come back and we'll have this item.